Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 305, Recalibrating a Plant-Based Lifestyle.
On this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talk about what to do when you are unhappy with the backwards progress that you've made from a lifestyle that was really working well from you, and now you kind of find that you've either put on a bit of weight, or you're getting some of your symptoms back into your life, or you're just not happy with the way that you're showing up at the gym and in the kitchen.
And it's not just if you've gone off track. I think this could be also for people who are just getting started. So although we called it recalibrating a plant-based lifestyle, it's really how to get into a plant-based lifestyle. And we share some awesome tips today that the novice to advanced can apply to their life, making their quality of life that much better.
So be sure to share this with anybody who you feel needs a little bit of a recalibration or maybe a little bit of a jump start. You can share the link at planttrainers.com/305. You could send it in an email, in a DM, in an instant message, whatever it is that you'd like, or you could put it right out there on your social media too. We totally appreciate that.
Love it.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. One of the best parts of living north is when it finally becomes warm enough to get outside for a run wearing just a t-shirt again. The crisp, cool air helps wick away the sweat while we run, bike, or work out in our Propelled by Plants performance t-shirts printed on the exact same Ironman finisher microfiber material. It's fast absorbing, quick drying, most importantly, UPF 30+. You can also find us showing off our guns in our Training for Life cotton tees. So now's the time to get your own shirt. And since Father's Day is quickly approaching, plan ahead and order one for a father in your life too. Each t-shirt comes with a handwritten note from us because we believe that much in gratitude. And we love you, our listeners. So get your shirts at planttrainers.com/shop or click the link in the show notes. And now for a moment of gratitude.
I'm grateful for time. I'm not very good with watches, keeping them, wearing them, checking them. But most recently, I have gotten my good watch fixed, so it is working now. And I'm always looking for ways to be on my phone less or be around my phone less. And now that my watch is working and on my wrist, I actually don't reach for the phone quite as often to check the time and then get sucked into other things. So I'm enjoying that.
I just finished our volleyball season, and I know many of you know that I coach a volleyball team, and we went pretty deep into the playoffs, and it was a really great experience spending time with those athletes and watching them develop from the beginning of the season all the way to the end. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be able to have an impact on them as student athletes and just as people in general. So that was really funny. We just started recording and then realized that I didn't press the record. I forgot to press record. So we're back here again, ready to do another podcast together, and we have a lot to talk about, so let's get it going.
We do. And it is just us today, which is great because you can listen to us. No,
yeah, and we actually get feedback that people like to listen to just us talking about nonsense because we always talk about nonsense.
And then some people say, if you can get through the nonsense, it's a really good podcast with lots of good information.
Well, you'd think after 300 plus episodes, things have gotten pretty good.
Yeah. And, you know, if you're still here, it means that you like something. And if you're not here, well, I hope you found something you like.
Well, if they're not here, they're not hearing this. But if you're here for the first time, then hopefully you'll find something that you like and you'll want to share it with other people. So thanks for being here, whether you're a long-time listener or a first-timer.
So some of you have experienced this, and I will openly admit that I have experienced it as well. A lot of us start off on the plant-based lifestyle. I mean, some people do transition using a lot of transitional foods that kind of exist now that didn't really exist back when we started. But, you know, a lot of people will go from like the vegan processed foods more into whole food plant-based, and they'll get really good results, right? Like, or they'll go all in really, really fast, kind of like you did, like, you know, no oils, no nothing overnight.
Kind of black and white. Yeah.
And, people will, by the time you get into that whole food plant-based, people are losing weight. People are, experiencing less pain, less inflammation, less brain fog, more energy, working out harder, faster.
Better performance, yeah.
Yes.
Sleeping better.
Yeah. Their heart disease.
Getting off their medication. Like, there's so many great benefits that come from this lifestyle change. And what happens is people sometimes get into that routine or habit where it just becomes normal. And they get so used to it that at some point they kind of forget what they're doing, and then they lose track a little bit and they go off onto a different track slightly, and that door opens a little, and then a little more, and then a little more.
Right. So what we're trying to say is people who have gone whole food plant-based have gotten these amazing results and then kind of fall off the wagon, get on the wagon, whatever you want to call it.
They just get too comfortable doing what they're doing that they start to shift a little bit in the wrong direction without even realizing it.
Right. Or you kind of think, well, because I'm okay now, or because I'm satisfied now, I can handle a little bit more. But a lot of our bodies can't handle more because they'd been sick for so long, or had just been, just damaged for so long because of the way that they ate or the way that they lived. And then, you start to let one processed burger get in, and then it's like one processed burger every week. And then, you may as well have the French fries with it because you look so good now anyway. And before you know it, it kind of becomes your new routine. And you've gone from being really great at making healthy choices for your body to allowing too much to slip in, and then your routines change, your habits change, but then your health starts to change, your weight starts to change, and your interactions start to change too.
It could even be that some people realize there are some restaurants around them that can accommodate their needs, and so they start going to those restaurants, but they didn't really factor in that they're using more oil in those restaurants than you would at home. And you start to experience different places to eat. And so it kind of guides you in a different direction, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just different from what you're used to. And so things start to feel a little different and not exactly what you started off wanting it to be.
Right. Or your life changes and all of a sudden you're exercising so much more than you ever were, which means that's taking away from time that you're normally spending in the kitchen cooking foods, or maybe you're volunteering at an animal sanctuary. So that's taking away. So you're starting to buy dressings, you're starting to buy hummus. Yes, I said hummus.
Hummus.
You're starting to buy soups and vegan cheeses and vegan hot dogs and all of that to try to save time to get more done, or, you're starting to help people, and it's really having a negative effect. So
yeah, but look, for some people that's going to work, and people are going to be okay. That's still better than what they were doing before. But for others, that might not work as well, and they might start feeling a little more sluggish. They might start gaining the weight back. They might find that they're becoming a little less healthy, or their fitness results are not as good as they wanted them to be. Their sleep patterns might be off slightly. They might not be sleeping well. The quality's not there. There's so many things that could change.
And we hear this from people a lot. We hear this like, oh, I used to eat so well. And then, oh, I found Doomies and all of a sudden my whole life has changed.
Let's not pick on one place. So
we found
a restaurant that, yeah, go on.
Anyway, so, what can people do to make sure that they either stay on track, or if you have started to experience that backwards motion and you're not happy with it.
And the truth is, we could do a whole show just on talking about going backwards, going the wrong direction, all the negative things that could happen through a negative change. But today we wanted to really focus on things that people could do to reset. So if they found themselves falling off the wagon, as you said, or changing their lifestyle in not the direction that they wanted to go, what can we share with our listeners? What tips can we give them? What ways can we help them find to get them back on the track that they originally wanted to go on in providing them with quality lifestyle?
I think the first thing that they really need to do is go back to their why, right? Why did they make that change in the first place? What was different about that change that they made compared to all the other changes that they've made over the years before? What made it stick? and really say, am I in a place that I want to be in now? And if not, I've done it once before, I can do it again. And before I end up where I once was, what is it that I want to try to avoid? And just get really upfront and personal with yourself and those emotions that you felt when you were that other person, or when you had achieved a goal that made you really, really proud, and make sure that you don't let go of that feeling.
So why are we doing that? How do we do that? Why though? Do you just like talk to yourself in the mirror, or what can people actually do to reflect? Because that's what you're asking them to do. How do they reflect on the reason behind what they're doing?
Okay, so number one is time. Everybody needs to make the time to do that. You need to like put into your schedule and be like, this Wednesday night, I'm not watching the playoffs. Okay, maybe not. This Wednesday night, I'm not watching, The Voice or whatever it is. Sorry, not to pick on The Voice. This Wednesday night, I am carving out time, or this Wednesday morning, I am carving out time for myself to work on this. That's something that everybody would need to do. But the other things are going to look a little bit different for everybody. Some people really enjoy writing. So maybe you got to dig out the journal, or take out the journal that you use every day anyway, and you've got to work on this. Some people are endurance athletes and can really think deep while they're exercising. Some people need to, that's Adam, he's pointing to himself. Some people need to get in front of the mirror and literally talk to themselves. Some people might need to call on a friend or a parent or a therapist and, just talk. And what's important in that situation, if you're a talker to other people, is to really say to them, I need time to talk and I need somebody to listen to me, but I don't need to be interrupted, because the choice that I'm about to make needs to be mine and mine alone. Because
I'm just interrupting.
Oh,
you need time to be what?
It needs to be mine and mine alone, because if it doesn't come from me, it's not going to happen. But sometimes we just need to be accountable and have somebody listening on the other side.
So everybody knows time is super important. And you've heard that before, that time, if you don't make it a priority, you're going to end up making an excuse not to get the time that you need to get done what you need to do. So really finding the time to make it a priority and being able to reflect on the reason behind what you're doing is really going to help you get to the next level and back onto the track that you want to be on.
So once you've come really, really upfront and personal with your why, then you need to make the decision to do it. You need to say, am I willing to make the sacrifices or take the leaps that I need to take to get back on board? And if your answer is a clear yes, then you can act on that. Now, how can you get that clear yes? You can.
How could it not be a clear yes? You've already made that choice at one point in your life to go in this direction. You know that you're capable of doing it. Why would you not allow yourself the opportunity to get back on track?
Well, I don't want to give people ideas on why they shouldn't get back on track. And of course it should be a yes, but that decision still needs to be there. Some people are just like, I'm not willing to take it, to do it right now, or now's not a good time. And none of those are good enough. Like, now's not the right time is not necessarily a good enough excuse. But if your answer is still, now's not the good time, but hey, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, but
you still got to say to yourself, am I doing this? And the answer has to be yes. Whether you're flipping a coin or watching for a light to flick or pulling a card or listening to your subconscious, you've got to get that yes from yourself. Otherwise it's not going to happen.
But it's too easy, because just think about how you felt when you made the decision to make that change the first time. How did it make you feel? What kind of benefits did you have because of that change? And bring that into how you're going to make that change to clean things up right now. Because if you can bring that feeling back, you're going to make it happen. What's so funny?
The creative versus the mathematical.
Okay.
But regardless, depending on your personality, whether you're a black and white person or whether you're a little bit more whimsical, either that decision has already been made or you need to hear those yes words from you. Regardless of what it is, It's okay.
Okay. There's so much more great information coming your way. But before we get to that, we wanted to share with you our 3 biggest complaints that we have about cookbooks. 1, sometimes we just don't know where to get the ingredients. 2, sometimes we buy an ingredient and use so little of it and have so much left over. What a waste of money and waste of a resource. And 3, if there's no picture, we're not making it. We need to be able to visualize things and see what it's going to look like when it's done so that we could do our best with it. And a bonus complaint is that we're busy parents with jobs who exercise and we just don't have time for the fancy stuff. That's why we created the Easy Recipes for Busy Parents e-cookbook. You don't need to be busy and you don't need to be parents, but we promise you'll find all the ingredients in no time. The same ingredients get used over and over again, so there's no waste. There are pictures for every recipe, and it'll be easy. If that's good enough for you, check out the link in the show notes or go to planttrainers.com/shop and get your cookbook today. And now back to the show. All right, what else could people do to really get themselves back on track?
Okay, I think writing out goals is really important.
Okay, so let's be clear first. We're talking about a plant-based lifestyle. So we're talking about your food, we're talking about your fitness, we're talking about your sleep. We're talking about so many different aspects of your life. We're not just focused on one thing here. So we're not going to be able to spend hours talking about all these things. We're really, all these little tips that we're giving right now could be applicable to all those different areas of your lifestyle, because that's what we're talking about.
Right. So you might want to say something along the lines of, I do for myself what I need to do in order to be at my peak health, my peak weight, my peak performance, whatever works for you, right? So you write, I do those things to make myself the very best that I can do. And then how do you do that? You have to break that down. So does that mean that you meditate for 10 minutes every day? Does that mean that you exercise 4 times a week for 45 minutes each? Does that mean that you only put whole foods into your mouth? You can break down those goals and say, what is the roadmap for getting there?
So it's your mantra. You're making your mantra. You're creating a daily saying or writing something down that you're going to look at every day or think about every day. Just like every morning when I wake up and I let myself know that I'm strong and I'm determined and I can do anything I choose to do.
Yes. And if you've listened to us long enough and read our social media long enough, then you know that we love using dry erase markers and our bathroom mirror. We're not afraid to make a mess. And we write certain things. He's pointing to me.
She's not afraid to make a mess.
You know, usually it's the woman who's like, my house must be
I know.
neat.
I'm the neat one. You're you're not messy.
I'm not messy. It all depends. If there's someone coming over, I'm not messy.
Right. Right.
So
I'm over all the time.
as I was saying, we need to
You're a little
we
messy.
write with dry erase markers in the mirror. And it's a really great reminder. It allows you to change things. So if you want to go ahead and, change that 10-minute meditation to 15-minute meditation, or to write that mantra down, or to change the mantra as it goes, those are all really helpful too. I wrote on my side of the mirror, drink more water.
Yeah.
And then Jordan wrote for Adam on his side, drink more water.
Well, that's because there was a day where I came home and I wasn't drinking enough water. So I guess she wanted to use my mirror as a reminder to drink more water. And I mean, that's a great message to read every morning when you wake up so that you could stay hydrated and feeling fresh and energized throughout the day.
And then you've got to go ahead and you've got to start to change those routines, change those habits that kind of might be off a little bit. So take a look at what are those habits that you need to change. So do you need to go back to your shopping list and make one again? Maybe you've stopped making a shopping list and that's part of the problem. So you don't know or you're not meal planning. So you don't know what's for dinner. You don't know what to buy. So it's easier to just stop at Wi-Fi Burger. There we go. Picking on someone again. And picking up, the plant-based burger for dinner.
That could be applicable to your fitness just the same. Like, so you could be in a fitness routine. You get out of it. One day you took a day off because you just weren't feeling good enough to do it. And then, it was so easy to stop. So I stopped the following day. And then you lose your routine. It changes. So you got to get back into it slowly, just the same way. And creating a meal plan or creating a fitness plan. And we talked about this in one of our previous podcasts. You can go back and listen to that. I'll put that in the show notes. But there's ways to plan and prepare and to recalibrate all of that. And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and go back to your fridge, go back to your pantry, see what's missing, see what's in there that you don't want to be there. Give it away, share it, bring it into work, eat it today and throw the rest away tomorrow. Whatever it is that you need to do, start to look at it, and planning your week, like planning your week for everything is that important. So, like Adam said, make sure you get back to the gym, but plan to pack your bag for the gym the night before and plan to put it in front of the front door so that you'll trip over it on the way out if you don't pick it up, and robbers will trip on it on the way in if they try to rob your house. Yeah. It's win-win.
Yeah, win-win. Finding someone to help you stay accountable could be really important throughout this process. And this is just like anyone starting out for the first time. And just because you've done it before doesn't mean that you're for sure going to continue to do it or be able to do it by yourself. And we shouldn't be afraid to get some help.
And I really think that a good sleep routine will help all of this as well. So make a point of getting into bed early, make a point of making sure that everything that needs to be done before you go to bed for the morning is done. When you've slept well, when you're feeling rested, it's easier to make those good decisions for you. Even though you're tired at the end of the day, you could be like, well, I'm going to go to bed early and I was in bed early last night. Let me just go get my workout in. I know my body can handle it, as opposed to you've been going to bed late so many days and your mind's not really working properly anymore. And it's easy to take the easiest route out. And it's kind of what we're programmed for to some extent. So we've got to really overcome that.
I think the reason we decided to talk about this today is because we've heard from quite a few people lately that things have been a little rocky and they've kind of gotten off track from their health, their fitness, their sleep patterns. And we thought it would just be cool to talk about it very quickly and share some pretty tangible, achievable tips that they could use. And I don't know how to say this, but it's okay to be where you are right now. It's something that you could fix. And if you're not in that situation where you need to refocus or to recalibrate, that's awesome. Keep going. But we're really just coming in here today to provide you with the encouragement and reminder that you could do anything you choose to do. And you just have to make that choice of continuing to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And obviously we believe, and we assume that since you're listening to this, you are curious about a plant-based lifestyle, or you believe that a plant-based lifestyle is the healthiest option and the best way to go for your life and those around you and those you love. And so we wanted to share with you those words of encouragement and to get you back on if you need that help to kickstart you back in the right direction.
And if I were to hypothesize why we're hearing this more.
Hypothesize. Nice.
Hypothesize.
Nice word.
More. If I were to hypothesize why we're hearing this more this year than we really have in the past. I mean, first of all, anybody who lives like north of Atlanta, it has been a long winter, right? Like winter really only disappeared last week, and we're really only feeling like the beginning of spring right now. So, it has been cold. It has been snowy. It has been awful. So that, makes people depressed. That makes people go back into their emotional eating. That makes people want to pick me up. And it's not always the pick me up that's going to actually pick you up, right? And then the other thing is that although we really rejoice with so many of these companies coming out with amazingly easy, amazingly tasty plant-based options, if we get really, really wrapped up in it, we're going to be moving backwards. And I think that for those of you who really want to be staying on track, it's great to have those options for, and every once in a while, for you've been driving 5 days across the country and just need an easy meal, or you're out with friends once a month. So, you go to the burger joint or what have you. But for just think of these foods as your sometimes occasional kind of food, but think of it as there is more for the general population who will be eating the beef burgers, 8 times a week, who will be eating the chicken burgers 4 times a week. And think of it more as a way to help their health, to help the environment, to help the animals and everything else that comes along with it. And not that it needs to be everyday food for us now that it's becoming so mainstream.
Plant-based foods has become very mainstream, and it's become way easier to find them these days in 2019 for sure than it was 10 years ago. And people have to be conscious, they have to be mindful of the food they're putting in their body, because the food they put in has a direct impact on everything they do, every way that they perform, on their health, on their fitness, on their sleep patterns. And because it's easy and more available, we have to be a little bit more aware of when and how we want to use those foods. And if it's for a transition because you're coming off a standard American diet and you're moving into a whole food plant-based lifestyle, it has a place. And it's amazing that it's happening and that it's going on. We just have to be aware of how we use those foods and not get caught up in being an unhealthy vegan person.
And perfection is not about being whole food, plant-based, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life if you don't need it to be or if you don't want it to be. Perfection is exactly what feels right to you from a health point of view, from an ethical point of view, and all those other things. So don't think that we're saying if you're not 100% whole food, plant-based, no oil, no sugar, all of those things all the time, then you're not perfection. Perfection is what works for you. And if you're not happy with where you are right now, then this is the episode to help you get back on track.
Yeah, there's no perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. There's always room for improvement. And don't judge. Don't be hard on yourself.
Don't judge me.
I don't judge you.
I was talking to myself.
Oh.
We're the hardest judge for ourselves.
It's true. And you might be too on yourself. So just take it easy. And if you make a choice that you're not happy with, just let it go. Don't harp on it.
All right, people, check us out on Instagram at Plant Trainers. Check us out on the Plant Trainers podcast on Facebook and join the conversation this week. We will be posting various parts about this episode like we do every other week, and we would love to hear from you. Be part of the conversation. Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers podcast. We want to make sure that you subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platform.
We really appreciate the feedback we receive from you every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans. It really helps other people find us just like you did.
Thanks so much to our patrons. To become a patron, visit us at patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference in the quality of the show.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is at Plant Trainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at planttrainers.com for awesome recipes, a list of our services, and of course, our latest podcast.
We encourage you to email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so that we can help you improve your quality of life through nutrition and fitness.
So we hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time and have a healthy day. Or is that too corny?
It's a little cheesy.